Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I want to talk about Connie discovering the CRM because I do believe it's something that, is bound to happen here in part three. There was that line in season two, I guess, or season 11, part two finale, where, she mentions that, or I actually think it was Max who mentions it, right? She mentions that there's codes, there's coordinates or whatever. So maybe we should, that this could be where they're hiding people. And then Connie's like, well, we need to learn more stuff about this yet, right? So I do believe like that's going to be a big thing here in the part three. I think they're going to go here because obviously, the story that's been given to Connie so far is this detective storyline, basically, right? Like she's researching stuff. She's trying to find out more stuff about Pamela Milton because she wants to bring the Miltons down. And so far she wrote about the Sebastian heist. But there's a lot more to this story here, specifically with Tyler Davis, which is a mystery that is obviously still sort of hanging over the season right now. Like, where did he go? What happened to him? Like Mercer saw. Mercer might have an idea, but maybe Mercer doesn't, right? Like, I don't know if Mercer knows the grand story here with the Civic Republic and all that. He might not know that much. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, there's a lot to break down here. So obviously, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want more Walking Dead content like this. Also, I just did a review on episode 1 of The Boys. So if you want to see my review for that, it's up on the channel. It was just the video before this. Definitely really exciting. Laurie Holden, who obviously played Andrea on The Walking Dead, she's actually going to be here in this season. The actress who plays Pamela Milton, Layla Robbins, she's actually in this season as well. Obviously, she's been there, I think, since season 1. So yeah, a lot of Walking Dead connections there. But I guess let's get into this here. So, Connie discovering the CRM. I know, a lot of us talking about the Civic Republic and how that's going to be revealed before going into part 2, a lot of that ended up being wrong. Like, I do get that, but I do still think that they are going to get into this stuff. Like the Civic Republic, I think is going to play a role here in part, or just in part 3, because, they had the helicopter come back into the opening credits. It's also just something that's sort of there in the story right now. Like, what happened to Rick? The whole thing with the helicopter. There's been helicopters really just sort of spotted throughout. Rick even saw one in season 8. There was the whole A thing that's sort of like this little Easter egg that's been going around since season 1. I believe it was season 1 or season 4, actually. But there's just been a lot. There's been a lot of things here. And I just think it makes the most sense to introduce that because the spin-offs are going to be about finding Rick. Like, I know it's not confirmed. I get it. And a lot of it is just sort of my ideas on it. But it just seems like everyone's teasing it, at least in my opinion. It seems like everybody is sort of teasing that, we're going to be searching for missing people, this and that. And I really think that they're going to be searching for Rick in the spinoffs, at least in the first season of the spinoffs. I don't think, like, a lot of people are worried about that. And it's sort of a small concern of mine is, if there's like 3 or 4 seasons of these shows, of these spinoffs, and all of it is about finding Rick, that they're not going to be doing the Rick movie for another 4 or 5 years or something. Yeah, that's definitely a concern of mine, but I don't see that being the case. I think the first season here is going to be largely focused on that. It's going to be on finding Rick and whatnot. And then season 2 and stuff, I do think they'll probably have some more Rick interactions and stuff like that. And then, depends on where they go from there. But that's obviously something that Scott Gimple and all of them got to work out. Maybe it's the first 2 seasons before the Rick movie comes out. Like, again, I think a lot of people are okay with that if we get some solid Rick news, which I'm expecting next month. I'm really hoping it's going to be coming out next month. Like, if they're doing Comic-Con and they're going to physically be there, people are going to ask them about the Rick movies. And I think if Scott Gimple just says, some of the more typical stuff, people are going to be really frustrated and really upset about it. I do think that, like, they have to give something. They have to announce something. If they don't, people, like a lot of people slowly over time are starting to believe that it's not happening. And I know the second they announce something, the second they announce a release date or a title, show a little teaser again or anything like that, people are going to be hyped about it, right? Like, if there's more solid information out there that, like, it's coming out this time, right? So people can get excited about it. Then all of a sudden the fan base is super hyped and people are like freaking out about it, right? And that's the kind of fan base you want going into part 3. Like, that's the thing. Like, you could announce some Rick stuff after The Walking Dead's over. Sure. I just think it makes more sense to announce a release date and all that beforehand. Do it at Comic-Con. You do it at Comic-Con, people are excited. People are hyped and stuff watching part 3 because of, the possible connections and whatnot. You're getting a lot more viewers, a lot more people are going to be hyped. Like, it just makes the most sense. If you're, I guess from a business standpoint, it just makes the most sense to do that. And so I hope that everything, it's been nearly 4 years now, right? 3.5, closer to 4 years since Rick has left the show. I really do believe the script is done. I really do believe that they can film this now whenever, because they've been talking about filming this for a while now, or since last year. So I really do think that, they got to announce something has to come out with this. And yeah, just stay tuned for Comic-Con, right? It's like 40 something days away or whatever, maybe closer to 50, but yeah. And a lot of that starts with this storyline here. The exact line that's said here, I don't know if it's exactly, but Max says like the codes, there's maybe coordinates to where they're hiding people, and they want to reveal this information, but Connie's just kind of like, no, not yet. Something this big, this explosive, we need a key to crack this code. We need something that is going to be really big, where it's like you can't go back on this, like Pamela Milton can't misinterpret it or whatever to people. It's this, like, this is what it is, and Connie has it right. So in the meantime, they write about Sebastian's heist, which is obviously what they're going to be focusing on largely here in episode 17. And that's the thing too, you got to remember, like, when they do find out that Rick's alive, like, the key to it is going to be discovering the Civic Republic, right? Like, that's going to be sort of the perfect way to segue into something like that, because I don't know how it's going to be revealed. That's the thing. I don't know how all this is going to be revealed. The mystery behind what happened in Tyler Davis, it's obviously a big part here. And I do think this is going to be the connection overall. But how do you, once we find out about the CRM, how do we go from there to, oh, Rick's alive, right? Like, it seems like it would be pretty obvious. Like, maybe there's going to be an item, a photograph, a name somewhere, maybe something Michonne related. Like, we just don't know. But I do believe discovering the CRM, seeing the 3 logos, that is the first step. Once we see that, then it's like, okay, so they're very aware of this community where Rick is. And now it's just sort of like, we know the spinoffs are happening. It makes it really predictable. Well, not predictable, I don't want to say that's kind of the wrong word to use here, but it's obvious. It's way more obvious where we're going, right? Like, we can't predict it because we don't know exactly where they're going, but it's obvious they're about to find out something about Rick, right? They're about to find out that he survived the bridge explosion and that Jada saved his life. And in terms of any predictions that I have, it is hard, right? Like, it's really hard to sort of make that connection there, because I don't know what it's going to be. And any prediction I make is likely going to be wrong, because I do think it's probably something that none of us are thinking of. Like, the only prediction I have is like, they find the Civic Republic, they find like this building or this place where they're actually keeping people prisoner there. We have, I don't know if there will be some CRM guards or whatnot, or not CRM guards, but I guess there could be a mix of that and Commonwealth guards. But I believe it's going to be a secret location somewhere. It could be underground. It's probably not going to be underground. Honestly, it's probably going to be in like those crates that we saw Rick in before in season 8, those train cars, right? It's probably going to be in something like that. And we're going to see people in there. Obviously, they'll be all furnished and whatnot. So it's not like they're going to be living in hell. It'll be furnished. They'll just be kind of trapped in there, and they're going to be given to the Civic Republic. We'll probably see a helicopter. Honestly, we'll probably see a helicopter come down. I think we'll see Tyler Davis again. That's kind of my prediction, is I think we're actually going to see him again. And that's going to be the connection. They're going to find out, like Connie's going to find out, they're trading people to a larger community called the Civic Republic. And, they're going to learn why. And that, I think that could be tricky. How do you find out why they're doing it? Because you're going to see that they're doing it for supplies. But then there's the whole question of, well, what do they want with it, right? And that's something that I don't know if they're going to get into, because obviously we already know, but a lot of that is getting into some of the CRM storyline there that we saw in World Beyond, right? Like they're trying to find a cure and all that. I don't know if they're going to rehash down The Walking Dead. I don't know if we're going to get too far in that. I think a lot of that stuff is things that they're going to slowly find out in Isle of the Dead, or the Daryl spinoff, the Rick movie and whatnot, right? I think they're just going to discover what, the Commonwealth side of things, what they're doing with the CRM, that deal's in place, that helicopter and all of that. And then again, like once Connie knows this, is she going to be able to take photographs of this? Like what happens at that point to, finding out that Rick's alive? And I think that's the tricky part, right? It's like we don't actually know, but I think it depends on the characters that are around. I think if we have certain characters, like if Eugene is there, or Gabriel, right? If Gabriel's there, that's a big one because Gabriel saw the helicopter before. If Negan is there as well, Negan saw the helicopter. So if they see that helicopter, they might think, oh, that could be connected to Jadis, right? It's still going to be hard to connect all of that to Rick. Like, it's still going to be hard. Again, it's going to be something that is just, I feel like it's going to be kind of random. But then again, you know, like, the writers here are very creative. They're great writers. And I'm sure they came up with something here. They came up with some type of story here in terms of how they find that out. It really could be as simple as Judith just tells them. But it just kind of seems like that's not going to be the case because I don't know if Judith will. I mean, it's possible. And the thing is like, maybe it's two things. Again, like we're talking about the CRM and like, what if Connie finds all that out? And we're also saying like, well, how does she, you know, how do you relate the CRM to Rick? Well, what if Connie's finding this out at the same time? But, you know, a separate storyline is Judith just finally confesses to Daryl, you know, maybe she thinks that they're going to die and whatnot because of stuff going on with the Commonwealth. She finally tells Daryl. And Daryl now knows like Rick's alive or whatever. And then maybe there's just some connection here made, right? Stuff with Jadis and whatnot. See, this is a lot of the things that they have to connect here, right? There's a lot of missing pieces here. Like, how do the characters find out? A lot of this stuff has to be resolved here in part 3 because that's the stuff that's been sort of, that's the storylines, the story threads that have been there, right? Since season 9. Like, we do have to, I don't want to wait for the spinoffs to wrap all that up. It has to be wrapped up here on the show. And I do believe it's going to be. I really do believe it's going to be. I think it's going to be cleverly woven into the Commonwealth plot here, which will make the Commonwealth plot overall with the overall story of The Walking Dead matter, right? Because it was how they discovered the CRM. It was how they discovered Rick was alive and their connections. I really do believe that's likely what's going to happen. I have a hard time seeing where it's going to be, where it's all going to go, you know, how it's all going to play out. And obviously this is just my, you know, predictions on it. I don't actually know, but I think it makes sense. You know, I think Connie is such a key character here in this storyline that I'm interested in seeing where this is going to go. And I know a lot of people are as well. I don't know what episode they're going to get into this. Probably not 17, but it's going to happen quicker than we're thinking. Like, it's not going to be saved for episode 22 or something like that, right? Where Connie is going to go discover this thing. Like, it's probably going to happen like 19, 20, around there. Because once we get into episode 21, then it's like, oh shit, we have 3 more episodes left. Like, that's it. And then The Walking Dead's over. So, like, they're going to get into this a lot quicker than we're thinking. It's just, yeah, like, how do you get from, you know, the CRM stuff to Rick and all that? That's sort of the question that I have right now. But yeah, definitely post your thoughts down below. Maybe you guys have theories and all of that. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Make sure to be a subscriber if you want more Walking Dead content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.